Hey everybody, this is Eric Johnson, Iwi Productions. Got Tober here. He wants to be part of the show. Why am I not surprised? Because of course I get up here and I usually talk a little before I actually get started. And so here he hears me and then he comes in and he causes trouble. He's already, rubbed his cheeks on my Dr. Perky, which is a store-bought label for I think it's at Kroger for Dr. Pepper, which I don't even like. But the store-bought bottle looks a lot like Diet Coke, which I do like. So I bought it by mistake, so I'm drinking Dr. Perky. And he's back to rubbing his cheek on the glass. I don't know what's in your cheeks. I think it's some sort of musk or something. Smell that you mark your territory. You want to say hello to everybody? No. Oh, you're going to be a drag. Oh, God, you're on the keyboard. Why? Why do you guys love keyboards so much? Huh, Tober? What are you going to do? You got to love them. And dogs. I don't have any dogs, but I've had 2 dogs. I love dogs, and I've got fish, and I like them too. All right, so anyway, what we're going to do today is something very exciting. Oh, there it is. Okay. We're going to do something very exciting. I've told you before the channel is going to be a little, you're looking like you're up to something, like you're going to plan an ambush, like you're going to knock the tripod over with the camera. It wouldn't surprise me. He's actually done it before. You never see that. So I told you this channel is going to mix it up a little. We're going to keep doing treasure hunting. I have treasure hunting people that make comments, so the treasure hunting people really like, and I'm getting, seems like my treasure hunting videos on There's Treasure Inside are starting to pick up more. I think something happened when I did my last one where I talked about how I was wrong about Vermont map, that it really does match. I don't know why he would want to put a box up in Vermont, but I am sensing a pattern. Well, he's got the 5 boxes, and he's got a place that John Collins Black has to put around the United States, and he wants them to be accessible to everybody. So I think the Pokemon boxes in New Orleans. I thought that the Appalachian Trail box was going to be in North Carolina, but now it looks like it's in Vermont. So you've got New Orleans right in the middle of the South, on the bottom of the United States, and you've got New Hampshire, so that takes care of the Northeast. And then I'm starting to think what's the other one? I think the Forest Fen one is going to turn out to be up north of where the treasure was found in Wyoming, so possibly in Montana, which is where I also checked out when I was looking for Forest Fen. I think the the Future and Past box, or whatever it's called. I thought that might be in California, but I'm now thinking that might be in Florida. And I'm beginning to think that what's the other one? I'm beginning to think let's see, Future, Present, or Future and Past, Pokemon. Forest Fen box is up there. This is terrible, Eric. You're not even doing justice to it. I think, and then the lion's share box. I think that the big box is out in, oh God, that's just horrible. Never mind. I'll edit that out. Okay, so I said that I'm going to talk about other things besides, so anyway, I've gotten a lot of comments on the stuff I've done with JCB's book, Treasure Inside. But I said I'd also do other stuff. I did this kind of unusual video about epigenetic memory and the bicameral brain and Lord's Prayer. And actually, I thought a fair number of people have viewed it. They must find it interesting on some level. It's a little, I don't know, it's a little wonky. I don't know, is it? I don't know. But I know a subject I've always been very interested in, and I'll always be interested in. I've been studying since I was literally 12. Literally, studying it like a friend of mine whose father was pretty high up in government he and I were given an escort to the Library of Congress, and we were doing a thing on we were studying UFOs, just ourselves, just privately, just studying UFOs. Man, that goes way back. I think I was 12 years old. Anyway, so today I'm going to do something that I think is really interesting because it has to do with two different events. Both events happened in 1952, but one of the things we did not find out about until recently. So that's the Washington DC Flap. That's when the UFOs came to Washington DC and said, here we are, deal with it. And that's literally what they did. They didn't land on the White House lawn. They did something just as obvious. They were in the sky above DC. They were on radar. Countless people saw them. They came for 2 different weekends in a row. On the weekends, which is kind of strange. And all the while, something else was recording other things in the orbital space around orbital space. I'm not sure what you call that. You know, up in the space right around us, around the planet Earth. We only just found out about it. You're doing a really good job on Eric. You're making it very clear. Thank you. So anyway, we're going to talk about that today. But the first thing I wanted to do is I wanted to talk about some statistics I looked up, and I thought you'd be interested in them. These are current statistics, and these are they. These are them. These are them. Right now, what percentage of Americans believe UFOs are real? Belief in UFOs among Americans is surprisingly strong and growing. 51% of Americans say UFOs reported by military personnel are probably or definitely evidence of intelligent life beyond Earth. That's going beyond just believing in UFOs. That's saying they're from beyond Earth. That's 51. More than half the people in the United States. 42% of Americans believe in UFOs in general, according to an Ipsos poll conducted around a 2023 congressional hearing. 34% think UFO sightings are likely proof of alien life, up from 20% in 1996. That's quite a jump, 34. I then asked AI, what members of the Senate believe UFOs are real? This is quite a list. Chuck Schumer, Democrat. Harry Reid, Democrat. Marco Rubio, Republican. Kirsten Gillibrand, Democrat. Joe Lieberman, Democrat. John McCain, Republican, since passed on. Daniel Inouye, Democrat. I think he's passed on too, right? Ted Stevens, Republican. Don't know him. John Glenn, who's gone. They say. Late. John McCain, Daniel Inouye, Ted Stevens, Republican, John Glenn, Democrat, who have all died. What members of the House of Representatives believe UFOs are real? Tim Burchett, Republican. Anna Paulina Luna, Republican. James Comer, Republican. Robert Garcia, Democrat. Nancy Mace, Republican. Jared Moskowitz, Democrat. Matt Gaetz, Republican. That's pretty impressive. I mean, that's a lot of members of Congress. You know, there used to be a time not too long ago in this country, I mean, I say that from perspective of an older person, who, hey, Bill, who, you know, they would never say that if they wanted to remain in Congress. Say they believe in UFOs or UFOs need to be investigated. No, but what's happened is all the whistleblowers have forced Congress to kind of come out of their shell and now talk to whistleblowers, and now they're all of a sudden they're starting to go, something going on here. Folks, they're real. They're real. They've been here for a long, long time. I've been studying them forever. This latest thing I wanted to talk to you, though, about is very interesting, and we will talk about it. But anyway, let's go on and to get this out of the way. I'm just trying to show you how mainstream now belief in UFOs is. It's no longer, and I'm sure a lot of you already know it, it's no longer like, you believe in UFOs? Now it's like, of course, man, they're real. So we all seem to, the majority of us believe that UFOs are real. For me, with remembering what it was like back in the day, that's really pretty cool. What military officials believe UFOs are real? Rear Admiral Tim Gallaudet, retired, Naval Meteorology and Oceanography, former commander. David Fravor, former Navy FA-18 pilot. Alex Dietrich, former Navy pilot. Luis Elizondo, former Pentagon intelligence officer. Christopher Mellon, former Deputy Assistant Secretary of Defense for Intelligence. Scott Bray, Deputy Director of Naval Intelligence. And Ronald Moultrie, Undersecretary of Defense for Intelligence. Oh, Belle, I got to get your Zyrtec done. Yeah, I heard your nose. And of course, finally, yeah, you're doing okay there today, honey. The pollen's not too bad. Belle she and I share. I don't really have it. Well, I just don't. The pollen here in South Carolina gets my nose going. But other than that, I don't really have allergies. What presidents have said UFOs are real? It's quite a list. Jimmy Carter claimed a personal sighting. Ronald Reagan reportedly saw a UFO while in a private plane. Bill Clinton said there may... That's really great, Bill. I need to get you Zyrtec. Thanks for letting me know in the middle of filming this, or videoing. Bill Clinton said on Jimmy Kimmel, there may be a lab somewhere that's holding alien bodies, but if there is, they didn't tell me. So it's kind of like, well, there may be, but I'm not, they didn't tell me that. It's kind of what do they call that? That's well, you know what I mean. It's like admitting something without admitting it. Barack Obama on the Late Late Show said there is footage and records of objects in the skies that we don't know exactly what they are. Confirmed that UAPs are real phenomena, though not necessarily alien. Well, there's a real politic answer. Donald Trump. See, I didn't know this. I thought Donald Trump would probably say he doesn't believe in him. It's not a put down. He's so he really deals with facts, and of course the facts do show they're real. I mean, we have so much evidence. Who's the guy? The guy who Tyson? The guy that's the astrophysicist, kind of a smart ass. But he says there's no real evidence for UFOs. There's no evidence? My God, we have radar, we've got visual sightings, we've got... What he should say is maybe he's saying there's no evidence that they are alien, but we have plenty of evidence that UFOs exist. I mean, eyewitness testimony alone is through the roof, and that's evidence in any court of law. Eyewitness testimony. Donald Trump received a briefing on UFOs during his presidency. He reacted to the Pentagon videos by saying, I just wonder if it's real. That's a hell of a video. Teased knowledge about Roswell. I won't talk to you about what I know about it, but it's very interesting. I love it. Okay, so anyway, those are the presidents. So a lot of people now in the high echelons of government, Congress, Senate, House Representatives, military people that have, high degrees of rank, and presidents now say UFOs are real. And of course they're real. They've been here forever. They've been here from before we are here. That was well said. All right. So today I want to talk about two different things. Well, they're actually one thing, but we found out about them at two different times. So in 1952, we had the Washington DC UFO Flap, also called the invasion of Washington or the Big Flap. I didn't know those two. I've just heard of the Washington DC UFO Flap. It was one of the most dramatic and widely reported UFO events in U.S. history. It unfolded over several nights in July 1952 with sightings peaking on the weekends. Oh, I guess the sightings peaked on the weekends of July 19th and 20th and July 26th and 27th. So what we had was right over Washington, D.C., like over the White House, over the city. We had visual sightings. Pilots, military personnel, and civilians reported seeing bright, fast-moving lights in the sky. Now, this is 1952. This is pre-Sputnik, right? This is like we don't have... now sometimes people say, look, the military is so sophisticated now with its hardware that it could be responsible for some of the stuff up there. True. Then we have people saying, maybe they're back engineering found alien UFOs. So that could be stuff we're doing, but with stuff that we captured, but we're doing it again, human. And then again, but this is 1952. And of course, we can go back in history and see all the things with people reporting UFOs. And that was back before airplanes. So then it gets really kind of like, but then people have a tendency, oh, well, that was ancient times. They just, it was a meteor, or it was this or that. And maybe some of that's true. But the point I'm trying to make is that this was 1952. So we are militarily, as far as aircraft go, we're still pretty primitive. We haven't got much up there outside of jets and stuff. And, it's more than a decade away from being on the moon and flying or being in orbit and stuff. We had radar sightings. Air traffic controllers at Washington National Airport and Andrews Air Force Base detected multiple unexplained objects on radar. This is all during this flap that occurred. Jet interceptions. The Air Force scrambled fighter jets to intercept the objects, but the UFOs reportedly vanished or outran them. In media frenzy, major newspapers covered the events extensively, fueling public fascination and fear. This kills me. The official explanation? Because people freaked out. I mean, these things are right over our nation's capital. It's the next best thing to landing on the White House lawn, which of course would be almost suicidal considering the nature of humans, whose probably would first inclination would be to shoot at it with a missile or something. So, yeah, they didn't want to do that, but they made it very clear they're here. They're here. They're in our airspace, and we can't stop them. Jets couldn't stop them. It's the old tale. Jets say, I'm getting up there and I'm going after them, and suddenly they vanish, or they sped away so quickly it wasn't even, my jet could never do that in a million years. Listen to the explanation. The U.S. Air Force under Project Blue Book. In 1976, my last year of college, I think that was... I think it was my senior year. I had speech, and my final speech that year was on how much BS I thought Project Blue Book was, and that UFOs are real. I mean, I've been after this a long time. I take it very seriously. But now it's to the point where it's so nice to live in an environment where you say that. I mean, I've had conservative friends, and I bring it up now, and they're like, yeah, maybe. Whereas it used to be, come on, man. I mean, you don't know that, you know, blah, blah, or whatever. This is what they said, Project Blue Book. They investigated the incidents. The final explanation, temperature inversions. Temperature inversions, a weather phenomena that can cause radar anomalies and visual illusions. And he found this unsatisfying, especially given radar confirmations and eyewitness accounts. Well, yeah. This BS that this government has given us over the years, other countries have been much more forthcoming with their population. But you know, the Virginia incident. I don't know if you're aware of this. I think it's in Chile. I'll do a video on it. That's the one where there was I think there was a crashed vehicle and this creature was running around this small town in Chile, and someone that touched it died of some sort of reaction to the skin, and it smelled, and I'll do one on that too. But the funny thing was, one of the teams that went down there to do a documentary on it, in this small town of I think it's Virginia, Virginia. They went to one of the elders that lived in the area. You know, this person who was up higher up. I think it was Virginia. This is when this happened, and he went to ask about UFOs. You know, UFOs and stuff. And the guy goes, "Are you from the United States?" And I think, you know, or whatever. And then he's like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Can you stop them from taking our water?" And this guy's like, "What?" He wants to find out about this little creature that's running around town. This guy's way past. He's like, they come, these things, these UFOs you're so interested in, they come to our local lake, and they keep sucking up our water, and they're actually lowering the water level. He wasn't even interested in this story about the little creature. And so for them, it's like, well, yeah, they're not only here, they're taking our water. For whatever reason, they would need water to get around. This is interesting, though, why it mattered. It marked a turning point in UFO history, pushing the topic into mainstream consciousness. I think we forget that the episode with the guy who used the term flying saucers, I think that was like 1940s, and I think Roswell, was that not 1940s, late 40s? Yeah. Oh. I'm fine. Anyway. Yeah, Virginia is a really strange story too, and I have something I want to bring up with the Virginia episode. When we see these creatures, we'll get into it at a future point. So that happens. The Washington DC Flap, UFO Flap, really happened. Was on radar, seen by government officials. Seen by pilots, jets scrambled by the military. Countless citizens saw it. We have pictures of it. It was in the newspapers. It was a big deal. Years go by. All we have is just our, we have what we have from 1952. We have the radar, pictures of the radar screens. We have a lot of eyewitness testimony. We have the testimony of the military saying they scrambled jets trying to protect the nation from possible threat. The jets could do nothing to these things, and these things did nothing to us. Which has been the story of UFOs pretty much, although I have been surprised to find more recently that in the past, yeah, people have died. I mean, I've known of some incidents. I remember this one time a jet went after one, and I don't think that was this. I think that was different. And he just simply, Well, something happened to his plane and he just crashed. But he was going after a UFO. He said, I'm going after it. And he got up there and he just ended up crashing. And so that was a death. But I think there have been some other deaths. All I'm going to do is video on that. That would be interesting to look at. People who have died from UFOs. Nice subject. So that happens on the ground in 1952. This big Washington DC UFO flap. Everyone's aware of it. They had military personnel on film. A military guy. I still remember this military guy talking about, we have seen the UFOs, blah, 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 and they are unknown objects, and blah, blah, and we scrambled jets, and we were not able to, they just said it like it was, which used to happen more and more. Remember Roswell? The guy comes out, he goes, we've recovered a UFO on this ranch here around Roswell, and all of a sudden later on they start making up stories that it was weather balloon, and actually made up the weather balloon story right after the paper, this local paper in Roswell, said it had the military say it was it really happened. Then all of a sudden they had the guy pose with weather balloon material saying, no, it was a weather balloon. People are going, we know what a weather balloon looks like. Again, cover up. And they're not even good at cover-ups. Remember swamp gas? Everything is swamp gas for a while in Project Blue Book. All right. That event led to increased scrutiny of government investigations. And it remains one of the few UFO events with simultaneous radar and visual confirmation by credible witnesses. That's a pretty big deal. Now, along come a woman, a very interesting woman, a very smart woman, an astronomer. And her name is Dr. Beatriz Villarroel. And she made a fascinating connection between the 1952 Washington DC UFO flap and mysterious astronomical data uncovered through her VASCO project. The VASCO project, VASCO, stands for Vanishing and Appearing Sources During a Century of Observations. Her team was originally searching for stars that might have vanished, possibly due to failed supernovae or even signs of advanced civilizations, but what they found was far stranger. Okay. I had to kind of read about this a little while for my simple brain to soak in to understand what was going on. This woman is concerned with something she calls vanishing transients. On the night of July 19th, 1952, the same night as the first wave of UFO sightings over Washington, D.C., photographic plates. Now, she is looking at photographic plates, old plates, from the Mount Polomar Observatory in California. She's going back, trying to observing these coming and going transients, but she's more interested in stars and what is happening with things that are coming and going in the starscape, I guess you could say, than necessarily UFOs. But these are very old plates. These are pictures taken by the telescope at Mount Polomar in California. And she saw 3 bright star-like objects that appeared in one image and then vanished within an hour of the next. And she was like, whoa, what is this? That's something that UFOs tend to do. These transients vanished at nearly the same time as the radar and visual UFO sightings in D.C., suggesting a possible correlation between ground-based UFO reports and unexplained celestial phenomena. they're not satellites or known artifacts. The images predate the space age and satellite launches. Again, 1952. Ruling out human-made objects. So something up there in the starscape above our planet is seen and not seen. And stars don't do that. They may twinkle, but they don't see them, and then they go away. Villarroel's team explored whether these could be high albedo objects in geosynchronous orbit, but the behavior didn't match known satellite. In other words, she's saying she wondered whether they were something. Well, they were apparently in a geosynchronous orbit, but there were no satellites. So she's like, what are these things that are hanging out above our planet? At the very same time, the UFOs are being seen on the planet, and these things come and they're going. What Villarroel doesn't claim, while she doesn't claim these are alien spacecraft, she raises a possibility that such transients could be non-terrestrial artifacts or evidence of unknown phenomena, especially given their sudden appearance and disappearance. This research adds a compelling layer to the Washington UFO Flap. There were not just radar and eyewitness reports, but now we have archival astronomical data showing unexplained events in the sky at the same time. It's one of the few cases where celestial and terrestrial anomalies seem to align. The reason these transients are so interesting is because, and I learned this studying this whole thing when she's looking for, the reason this is interesting, that these transients are so interesting, is not that they were just there in apparently orbit with the United States, with the planet Earth, sorry. But they were so bright. They were so bright, they were like stars. And the way that can happen is a couple of things. First of all, your average asteroid or meteor, these are just things I just learned, studying this subject for today. Your average, like when we see stars, we're looking at flaming gas planets, right? Just like our sun. Our sun is a star. So you're seeing very, very bright objects in the atmosphere, in space. These things were right up there with them as far as reflectivity. So they have scales of reflectivity, reflection. This is news to me. And what makes these things stand out is their reflectivity at certain times. The highest reflectivity there is, and they have a scale of reflectivity. If you have say a black piece of lava, it's probably going to have, and you shine a light on it. Because we're talking about, this telescope was picking up things that were reflections in the space. They are reflecting light. If you have something like a dark asteroid or something, the reflection, you might see it, but it's going to be dark or blurred. It's not going to be this bright, shining thing. To get that bright, shining effect, you have to have things that are usually metallic, and not only metallic to get that bright reflectivity, but the highest reflectivity is considered mirror-like, literally your mirror. Like if you shine a flashlight in it, you'll go, whoa. The reflection just comes right back and hits you. So these things not only... Hi, Tober. How are you, buddy? Thanks for making the scene. Don't rub your cheeks on my glass. Honey, that's just nasty. No offense, but I don't know what comes out of your cheeks. I'll probably put it in the video. I'll look it up. But you got something that you guys love to rub your cheeks on everything. Could have been worse. Could have been his butt. Could have been worse. He could have been a chihuahua and just put his leg up on my glass. He didn't do that. Oh my God, Eric, what were you talking about? Oh, so the reflectivity. The reflectivity was ultra high. Something on these things was probably metallic with a mirror-like ability to reflect light from the sun. And so they really stood out. And then on top of that, it's kind of weird that they can just vanish, coming and going, which we hear about with UFOs all the time. Doesn't matter if they're in outer space or if they're on planet Earth. They just can come and go. So that's what happened, folks. And these things actually were lined up at one time, like they were in a pattern. And so this, can I please have my notes backed over? Gotta lay on the notes. Anything, okay, whatever. Just leave them alone. This Villarroel, Beatriz Villarroel, is quite interesting. She is from Sweden, and so she was born in Sweden. She's a very intelligent woman, obviously doing this above my head, no pun intended, research of these transient objects in outer space. And it's quite interesting. So there we have a correlation between the Washington DC UFO Flap and these transient objects. Oh, and by the way, this is how seriously she took this. She said, you know, maybe it was a problem with the plate. Maybe there was because she had many of these transients, and she said maybe it's just the plate, it's defects in the plate. And she said one of the guys who was running the team she was on or whatever, so that's an easy one. Just go and see if you're finding these transient very highly reflective transients in outer space. Go see if they're in the shadow, of the Earth. And if they are still in the shadow of the Earth, where there's no light, when you scan that part of the sky, if you're seeing them, well, then they are defects. But if you're not, and of course she didn't see them, it was very greatly reduced the amount they saw them. So when there's no light, they weren't seeing them. So they're very real things that are reflecting light in outer space. And they seem to be connected they came and went during the Washington DC UFO Flap. I'm going to do a lot more UFO stuff because this one I just wanted to bring to your attention. I don't think this came out until July 2025, June, July 2020, this year. So that's why I thought it would be important to mention it to you, that we just got this evidence that we now have evidence something was going on in geosynchronous orbit of our planet while the Washington DC Flap was going on. I think it's just pretty cool. But gosh, there's so many UFO things I want to talk about Virginia. But gosh, there's just so. Oh, and what was the one I was just watching on Joe Rogan recently? This is it tripped me out. I was watching it this morning, actually, when I should have been getting ready for this. They now have found. I don't know if you guys have heard. You've probably heard. Probably a lot of you have heard about they have found some substructure under the pyramids in Giza. But this is what's called a labyrinth, and it's underneath, I think, the middle pyramid, the three pyramids that supposedly kind of reflect stars in the Milky Way, like heaven on earth up there is also on earth. Supposedly underneath one of the, goodbye Tober, supposedly underneath, I think, the middle pyramid in Giza, there is this subterranean labyrinth system with a metallic tic-tac shaped object that's like 70 meters long. What is it, 210 feet? And it's underground. And it's like this whole labyrinth is built about, and there's a whole history of the ancient historians going and seeing this labyrinth. It was this incredible thing, but unfortunately, the pyramids were built over it, and unfortunately now it's full of water, and I just heard about that this morning. Now your imagination runs wild, you know. What the hell is some sort of tic-tac or, you know, spherical shaped metallic thing doing in a labyrinth system, tunnel system, underneath the pyramids? It's a strange world, folks. I'm glad to still be around looking at it, because it's the whole UFO thing's been crazy as hell for a long time, but I mean, it's getting just better and better and better with all of our research tools and technology that we're able to use now to look at what's going on. So that's what I wanted to talk about today. In the future, we'll talk about other things. We're definitely going to do more treasure videos. I think the next Treasure Inside video I want to do is... let me see if I can figure this out. Okay, we have the past, the future, and present. I know Eric, just a minute. I have to kind of apologize for my... I think I've done an okay video, and I've covered the points I wanted to cover, except not being able to keep track of the 4 boxes. So we have the lion's share box in this Treasure Inside. Then we have the Forest Fen box, which I did mention. The Pokemon box, which I did mention. The past and future box. I don't know why I can't get that through. I also want to say the past and present. Past and future box. And the Appalachian Footpath box. I think the next one I'm going to do is going to be the Forest Fen box. Someone asked me if I was going to do one on that, and I said I would. I get a lot of comments, though. Well, a relatively good amount of comments, though, on the treasure videos. So people like treasure videos. I mean, this is it started out as treasure on his channel, so that's cool. There's just so much stuff going on out there, folks. But anyway, the reason I was going to say I'm just a little quite not, because I went to bed. It's strange. I went to bed at 9 o'clock, and I woke up 3:30. 3:30, and I'm laying in bed, and I'm like, go to sleep, go to sleep, nothing. Go to sleep, nothing. So I've been up since 3:30. And it's just kind of, I'm okay, but it's just, I'm a little skewed. I don't know, I'm drinking lots of Dr. Perky. Dr. Perky with cat musk scent on it. All right, folks. That's all for today. I hope everyone's having a good time. This one came out a little later than I wanted it to. I've been doing some stuff that I had to go do, or wanted to go do, but should be doing, and so I did. And it kind of knocked me off schedule a little bit. Anyway, everybody have a good time. Hope everyone's doing fine, and see you next time.